Welcome to another tutorial on Fortigate Firewall. In this particular session, I'll show you how to connect to the Fortigate Firewall from a machine using the web browser. In my case, I'm going to use Firefox to connect to the firewall, and through the SSL VPN, I will access the protected network, which is going to be 14.140.40/24, which is behind Fortigate Firewall. And the IP address configured on port 3 is 14.140.40.108, and I have port 2, which is configured with an IP of 10.10.10.108, and my clients are connected to port 2. So the SSL VPN will be configured on port 2, and the services will be running on 4430. So idea here is to connect to the Fortigate firewall on port 2 and establish the SSL VPN. And once we are connected to the Fortigate firewall, we will then try to access the network 14.140.40/24. And to simplify things, we will be accessing the IP address 14.140.40.108, which is configured on port 3 through the SSL VPN. And I have a client machine, which is a window machine with an IP of 10.10.10.140. So let's get started. So I'll show you the configuration on the Fortigate firewall first. So this is the Fortigate firewall interface, WAN port 3, configured with 14.140.40.108 as per the diagram that I showed you. And we have LAN port, which is port 2, where we have the SSL configured, or where we will have the services running, configured with an IP of 10.10.10.108/24. And you can refer to the diagram here. I'll share the link in the description so that you can refer to this diagram to avoid any confusion. Let's get started. So first thing first, we'll try to create a SSL user, and we'll then add it to the group so that we can call it in the policy to allow the network access, which is protected through the SSL VPN. So click on user and authentication. By the way, this particular firmware version is 7.05, which is pretty much the latest version right now. So first thing first, click on users and authentication. Go to user definition. I guess I already have it, so let me try to remove this. I'll pause the video so that I can clear off all the configurations from my previous session, and then we can start fresh. All right, so click on user definition and try to create the new user for the SSL VPN. Click on next, local user selected here. Let's try to name it as test. And let's try to put the password as password. We do not need two-factor authentication, so we can skip this. And let us try to add it to the existing default group, which is our guest group. This is the default group already there in the user groups. So now we have the test user created, and the same is added to the guest group. You can see the group information here as well. All right, so now we have the user definition and the group created. So let's try to create an address book for the address in question. which is 14.140.40.108 for our reference so that we can use it in the policy. Go to policy and object addresses. So you can see here, I already have the address book created for the IP 14.140.40.108/32 WAN port. So that's all in the address book. So let's move on to the SSL configuration. Click on VPN and then click on SSL VPN settings. And you will have to enable the SSL VPN, and you will have to select the interface, which in my case is going to be port 2 as per the diagram 10.10.10.108, which is configured on port 2. And we will be listening on port 4430. And I already have a certificate imported to the Fortigate Firewall, which is the SSL certificate here. So I'll just show you how to import the certificate as well. So let's try to do that. So click on systems, go to certificates, and then click on create certificate. So you have the option to import the certificate and click on the link. So this was the certificate that I signed. So basically I generated a CSR certificate on the FortiGate firewall, and then I signed it using my CA cert and the key. And I have already uploaded the certificate, which is reflecting here. You can see SSL. So in your case, you might have to upload the proper SSL certificate, else your VPN, SSL VPN might not work properly. So once you have uploaded the certificate, you can go to the next step, which is the SSL VPN configuration. And if you would like to know how to sign the certificate or how to generate a certificate for the firewall interface or any service, then you can refer to my old videos on OpenSSL too. I'll share the link in the description as well. So click on VPN, click on SSL VPN settings, enable the SSL VPN, click on interface, choose port 2 as per the diagram here. And the port that is used here is 4430, which is the custom port. And I have selected the certificate as SSL, which is the signed certificate internally used in my network. And for restrict access, you can click on allow access from any host. I do not want to restrict any access right now. Coming down to tunnel mode client settings, well, I'm not going to use any custom range. I'm going to use the default IP range for the SSL client, which is 10.212.134.200 until 210. But if you want, you can specify the custom IP range. This is the same range defined here. DNS server, same as client system DNS. And then coming down to authentication portal mapping, click on create, click on user group that we have created in the last step, which is our guest group. And then you'll have to select the portal here, which is full access. Click OK. Now make sure you have for other user group set to either full access or as per your requirement. So now that we have the SSL configured on port 2 on port 4430, you can get the link as well from here. Click apply, save the configuration. Now you can come to SSL VPN portal to adjust your configuration here. You can see this is the full access portal. And you can see here I have enabled the split tunnel. And I have selected this option, which is the default option, which will then pick the destination from the policy that I'm going to define in the next step, which will then force the firewall to inject a static route into the client's routing table to avoid any sort of traffic redirection. And coming down here, you can see the source IP pool, which is the default one, 10.212.134.200 until 210. And you can adjust multiple attributes here. I'm not changing any parameter here. And you can see here web mode. And this is the predefined bookmark. You can create n number of bookmarks here so that when you try to access the firewall using SSL VPN through browser, you will see these bookmarks. And for the client download section, which will show you the link to download the SSL client. By the way, this video is about how you can use the browser to connect to Fortigate to access the resource. We are not using any SSL client. Click OK to save the configuration. So now we have the portal configuration as well. So now the next step is to configure the policy. Under policy and objects, click on firewall policy. Try to create the policy, name it as allow SSL. And the incoming interface would be the SSL VPN tunnel interface. Outgoing interface is going to be our port 3. As per the diagram here, you can see source is going to be all because I do not want to filter any client right now. But in your case, you can select the appropriate address book. And one more thing is you will have to select the group or a user for authentication. So here in our case, we are going to use guest group where we have defined the SSL user for authentication. Destination is going to be 14.140.40.108 in our case, but you can adjust as per your network need. So let's try to use this address book 14.140.40.108/32. Schedule always services all for testing purpose. Disable NAT. We do not need any source NAT. Click OK. So now we have the policy to allow the traffic. So now we have all the configuration on the Fortigate firewall. Let's move on to the client machine, which is connected to port 2 LAN. So let's now switch to the client machine. Okay, so this is my client machine. So you can see here, ETH1, 10.10.10.140 connected to port 2 of the Fortigate firewall. Now, if you go back to the VPN section, SSL VPN setting, you will see a link here to access the SSL page. Let's try to copy that and let's try to switch to our client machine. So this is the client machine. I've taken the remote access. Let's try to paste this and let's try to access the client machine. So you can see here, I'm able to access the page here. So let me try to authenticate myself using the SSL user that I've created. Test, password. So you can see here, I have web access, whereas I can see the bookmark that I've created. Just to show you the difference. If you go to VPN portal, if you try to see the bookmarks, so this was the bookmark that we have created, which is completely visible on the web page that you have access through the SSL session. So this is the client machine and you can see the SSL VPN portal. This is the bookmark. You can click on that and that will connect you to the so you can see here using the bookmark, I'm able to take the SSH access. And by the way, if you check the bookmark, so the bookmark is to allow SSH access using the IP address 14.140.40.108, which is the IP address configured on port 3. So that basically means that using the SSL session, client is able to access the network 14.140.40.0/24. And on the client machine, you can see here, this is the SSL portal. This is the SSL session. And if you click on this bookmark, it is then taking you to the firewall access on port WAN port, which is configured with 14.140.40.108. So that proves that we have a completely working setup here on Fortigate Firewall and from the client machine using browser. And there are times when you will see some issues on your browsers. For example, so just type in about config. I'll just show you what issues you will face when you do not do these settings. So you will see a setting here which is security TLS version enabled depreciated. So by default this is false. If you do it false, you will not be able to access it and you will get an error, SSL protocol version alert. So if you are getting this error, which is SSL error protocol version alert, which is, because of the depreciated SSL version that we are using here on the firewall. So if you want to fix it, type about :config. I'll show you one more time. And then click on accept the risk and continue. And in the search bar, type in tls.version. And you will see a setting here, security TLS version enabled depreciated. Toggle this true. That's it. You should be able to access the web page using the depreciated SSL version. And regarding the Firefox version, you can see here 103.0, 32-bit. And one more thing, what I can show you is the certificate in use. For example, if you click on this, more information, view certificate. So you can see here, email address, which is my personal email address. You can see here, subject, common name, which is the port 2 IP address 10.10.10.108. And you can verify the same from the certificate information on the Fortigate Firewall as well. So right now we are using this certificate. And you can see here the common name 10.10.10.108 and the email address as sum@TechTalkSecurity. So you can see here common name 10.10.10.108, email address sum@TechTalkSecurity. That proves that the certificate is also properly being pushed by the Fortigate client from port 4430 on port 2 10.10.10.108. That's all in this video. If you have any questions, any suggestions, please do leave them in the comment sections. And I'll share the link in the description regarding the network diagram and the configuration. And at last, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.